Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my 2-month update of what is becoming a monthly minis project. So I began this on December 21st where I had 216 deluxe size makeup samples, or somewhere in foil packs. I didn't count any beauty products, it was strictly makeup and perfume. So 216 at that time. I felt overwhelmed. They were everywhere. They were taking up so much space in my collection that I really just wanted to challenge myself to only using minis for a month and see how many I could get through. My results were so good on the January 21st update that I decided to recommit to it again, and I'm just going to continue. In my last video on this topic, I did say that my goal is to get through all of my primers and all of my foundation samples, and then I will assess from there if I want to continue just focusing on minis or just reincorporate those into my overall collection and use them as I see fit. Time will tell in terms of how long it's going to take me to get to there, but for today, I do have an update for you, so let's do this. Okay, so I have all of my minis organized on my left-hand side. I have the ones that I have used up in the past month on my right-hand side, and I have notes on the desk in front of me. I also have a little collection here. We're going to get through it really quickly because I'm just going to incorporate them now. These are the minis that have come into my house in the past month. It's very minimal. So I did pick up the trio of Pat McGrath lip glosses, and I have to say, you guys were right. The people that recommended them to me, they are divine. I really like them. I'll see how their longevity is, but for now they have certainly replaced the Anastasia Beverly Hills glosses, which expire way too quickly for my liking. They have a very similar, I can't talk today. They have a very similar texture and formula as the ABH ones. Time will tell if they can last a little bit longer than those ones though. I also have a perfume sample. This is from Erin, and I don't know how to pronounce it, as per usual. Aegea Blossom? I don't know, A-E-G-E-A Blossom. I don't know, but I like that word. I can't pronounce it, but I like it because it's a palindrome. I can pronounce palindrome. Can't pronounce this word. At any rate, I wanted to try it out because I have sniff tested some of the Erin perfumes while in Sephora in the past, and I have liked them, so I wanted to try one out. I also have a Fenty Beauty Pro Filter foundation sample here. I got this when I placed my last Sephora order, and I did order it in a shade that is darker than what I would typically use because a lot of my other deluxe samples are too light for what's going on my skin right now. So I got it just to mix the two and make it work. Before we get into the specific numbers and what I have used up in the past month, I just want to show you how the collection is looking at this point. So let's start with lip products. Nothing really has changed here. This is a container from the Cosmetic Archive. I just think it's like really perfect for this because it's large enough that I can still move things around and find where I need them. It's got that large window here so that I can see exactly what's in, and it's open, so nothing is getting hidden away. I find if I put stuff away in drawers and I don't see it, it's out of sight, out of mind, so this just sits on my Alex drawer system over to my left so that I can just easily see what I have. If you watched my makeup collection video, again, I will try to remember to link it up here for you. I'm terrible at doing it, but I will try. At the beginning of all this, my samples were just scattered everywhere. So I had things organized basically by makeup type. So all of my concealers were here, all of my foundations were here, all that kind of thing. So there were samples and full sizes all mixed in together, and it just made me a little twitchy. It was overwhelming, and I just never felt like I was getting through anything. So when I began this project, I sort of corralled all of the minis together, but they still took up a lot of space because there were so many of them. Well, I'm very happy to report that I've now got it down to just 2 drawers. So there is what one of the drawers looks like. So I have mascaras along the bottom, primers stretch all the way across the top, and then I have foundations down here, and then a few bronzers and whatnot in the middle there. The other drawer is not quite as full, and things are going to shift as I lift it, and that's okay. I will live. Blushes are down here, eyeshadow primers here, eyeliners, setting spray, and then some bronzers up across here, and setting powders in the middle. I am quite happy to have these down to just 2 drawers because it means that it's opening up space in the remaining drawers, which means ultimately some of the smaller acrylic organizers that I have sitting on the desktop, I may be able to rehouse the items in those into the larger case and then just free up workspace in front of me, which I would really enjoy. Because I do my editing down here, I do my household budgeting down here, meal plans, like I do a lot of work down here. I view it almost as my office simply because I don't have an office in my house. So I do spend a lot of room in this, or a lot of time in this room. So I'd like it to be as functional and minimal as possible while still housing a massive makeup collection. I want my cake and I want to eat it too. So there it is. And then the final part of this is my perfume samples collection. So I just keep it in this Huda Beauty tin. When I started, it was difficult to close the lid because there were so many. And now we're seeing that there's some space in there and I can move them around and see exactly what I have. So when I did my update last month, I basically just counted out the items that I had used up, deducted it from what I had started with, and there were the remaining numbers. However, for this time, I was starting to get concerned that maybe I had miscounted because there were, say, blister packs of foundations, but there was 4 shades. And I couldn't remember if I had counted all 4 as foundations or only the shades that I thought I could actually get away with wearing. So I stripped it back, went back to square one, and just counted all the items here. So I've noticed that there are some discrepancies in terms of what number I had last month versus what I've used and what is remaining. So clean slate, I'm just going to go with the ones that I've actually physically counted now, but I'm still going to show you what it is that I used up. Just keep in mind that the numbers from last month to this month may not necessarily jive, but I now feel confident in the total amount that I have at this point. So let's take a look. I just always house them in this little bag that I have here. So there are the products that I've either used up or I've decided that I just do not enjoy them and it's time to let them go. So I'm going to start off with foundations simply because that's where I've made the biggest dent. So I did manage to use, excuse me, I did manage to use 2 of the foil packs. This is the Hourglass Immaculate Liquid Powder Foundation. These are currently too light for me. I do have like 4 others. With that new Fenty sample that I got though, I can mix that in and make it work so I can get through those. I also finished the Dior Skin Forever Undercover Foundation. And then I have a ton of blister packs. So a lot of these are like way too dark even for mixing purposes. This is from Stellar Beauty. I did use this one on the top, as you can see. I have since added this foundation to my loves list on Sephora because even just after 2 uses of the blister pack, like I just loved it. I loved the finish of it. I loved how it wore throughout the day. It was just like an ideal foundation for me. Basically a medium coverage with a, I don't even want to say demi-matte, more like a satin type finish. Like it looked like skin, and it's one that I would be very interested in purchasing once I get through these samples and make a dent in my full-size collection as well. And then other blisters, like I keep overlooking them. I keep pulling them out and adding them to my makeup basket. I did use this one from Stila. There's still foundation in there, but I'm not going to use them. I keep ignoring them. I don't enjoy this kind of packaging for samples. I don't know, I don't like digging into it. I'm just not going to use them, so I'm going to let them go. And then finally, not quite a foundation, but a tinted moisturizer. This is from First Aid Beauty, and it is the Ultra Repair Tinted Moisturizer. I loved this so much that I have bought a full size. I don't have any other tinted moisturizers, and I love it for an easy, just even out the skin tone, but not add a ton of coverage. Don't have to worry about blending forever or anything like that. It's just a fantastic day-to-day product for me. For primers, I did finish 2. So one is the Smashbox Under Eye Primer. Now, I did mention this before. I'm not going and cutting all of them up. I certainly could, and I could probably get another 1 or 2 uses out of there if I did, but I'm just not. So there it is. The other one that I finished is also from Smashbox, and this is the Photo Finish Primerizer. One that I've decided is just not for me is from Trestique. This is the Mini Matte Blur Stick, and it is very blurring, so if you do have oiliness, you might want to consider trying this one. I just found that it mattified too much for me because I don't have particularly oily skin, so it's just not designed for my needs, but I could see that people would really like this if they do have oily skin. Another product that just is not for me is the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder in the glowy version. I think it's actually called glowy. Could be glow. Whatever. It's not their typical translucent powder. It does have glow, glowy, something to that effect in the name. And I no, hard pass. It's not translucent, first of all. So there's the color there. And this color shows up on my skin and I can't blend it out. So the first time I tried it, I just tried it under my eyes. Looked atrocious because it just darkened everything. Then I tried it on my face and it's so shimmery that it looked ridiculous. Like it was not the look that I was hoping to achieve. Let's put it that way. If you want to look like a disco ball, here's your girl. But this is just not anything that I'm ever going to reach for, so I may as well just part ways with it. I finally finished my Burberry, it's actually a blush, but I was using it as a bronzer, so it is completely empty, and I'm so happy about that. I've had this for like 2 years, 3 years, maybe 4. I don't know, I've had it for several years. But it's finally done, and I'm happy about that. I liked it, but for the price, it's not my favorite, we'll put it that way. A blush that I am going to part ways with is Rockateur from Benefit. It just doesn't show up on my skin. And not just because of the tan, like it's basically my skin color. But, I mean, it looks darker in the pan, but once it's actually applied, unless I'm going to build up a ton, it just doesn't do anything for me. So I'm going to see if I have a friend who can get some use out of that, because I certainly cannot. I finished up a liquid liner. This one is from Kat Von D. It's the Tattoo Liner. I find that it dries out quickly. Like this, I know it has a huge cult following. It's just not my favorite. I find it difficult to work with. I do like the rigidity of the tip of it. Yes, I do like a rigid tip. But I just find that like once you get the line across your lid and then you try to like do a wing with it, it just gets really sticky on top of itself and skips, and I'm not a big fan, but I used it, it's done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Got 3 mascaras here. So I did finish the Hourglass Caution Extreme Lash Mascara. Love it. It's a little bit pricey for my blood, but I do like that mascara an awful lot. 2 that I just did not was, one is from MAC. It is the False Lashes Extreme Black. It's not terrible, it just doesn't really do anything for me, so I've got a million mascaras. I don't need to keep ones that are lackluster in my opinion. And then I have the Mad Lash from The Balm, and honestly, I just hated the brush. The brush is massive, and it's quite flimsy, and I basically just spent a lot of time cleaning up mascara that had like poked through and moved around, and so it was just altogether far too fussy. I don't need that kind of drama in my life. 5 perfumes, some of which I finished completely, some of which I just do not like. Tom Ford Eau de Soleil Blanc. I've got 2 of them. Not for me. If you really like the smell of like sunscreen, beach kind of deal, you might like that. I can see that people would really like that kind of scent, but for me it was just altogether too heavy. It did last well throughout the day, but that was kind of problematic for me because I just kept getting wafts of it, and it's just, I prefer more on the floral slash citrusy side, so that one just did not work for me at all. But one that did was the Versace Bright Crystal. Again, I've added this to my loves list, and if you've watched some of my other videos in the past, particularly where I do Shoppers Drug Mart hauls, I will be saving up for this one with my points, because basically once a year I buy myself a full-size perfume bottle using just my Shoppers Drug Mart points, and so I don't actually put any money out of pocket for that, and that is what I'm going to do with this one. I've already checked the Shoppers Drug Mart website and they do carry that one, so that's going to be my next big perfume purchase. And then finally, I did finish up one of my MAC Fix Plus mini sprays here. So those are the products that I got through or decided just not going to use them anymore. Now I'm just going to quickly give you the rundown of how many are left, and then we're going to wrap this up. All right, I have 15 primer samples left and 11 foundation samples. Again, my goal is to get through those items before deciding whether or not I'm going to bring an end to this particular challenge for myself. So I think I'm going to be doing this for a few months. For concealer, I am down to 1. For loose powders, I have 3 left, and then for bronzers, I have 5. Blush, I have 8. Highlighters, 3. Eyelid primers, I have 2. Now I do have a category here for single shadows, of which I have 21. That number has not changed. This isn't like single pans. These are like envelopes of eyeshadows, things like this. I find them so difficult to work with that I just never reach for them. There are some that I can see myself using at some point, like glitter samples, things like that. I'm not going to throw them out yet. I'm not going to cull through them even yet. I'm going to try to incorporate them a bit more. But at some point in future, I can see that I would probably go through them and part ways with probably at least half of them. So at any rate, as of right now, there are 21 little tiny baggies of powder sitting in my house. Okay, liners I have 8 of. I have 13 mascara samples, only 1 setting spray left, 48 lip products, and 16 perfume samples. So the grand total then is 155 samples. Last month, if my math can be trusted, I had 171, and when I started, I had 216. So I have made very good progress on this. I am quite happy about the progress, and I'm excited to keep going with it. So that is it for today. Again, I'm going to be doing updates monthly on this just so that we can see really what the change is. If you have a ton of samples sitting around, I encourage you to pick some of them and really focus on them, because when you do focus on them, you really can get through them. I personally don't find it to be a boring challenge to do. Like I tend to resent project pans and things like that because I just have to use the same full-size product over and over and over again, and it just never finishes, it seems. But with the samples, because there's such a good high turnover rate, I'm really enjoying that. So at any rate, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now. No! Lights, what are you doing? No! There we go. Twinkle, motherfuckers, just twinkle.